Hello and welcome to Dance Bants. I'm your host, and who am I? Human first, artist second, dancer third. And today I'm here with Linda Gamblin. Linda trained at the Royal Ballet School in London and performed as a soloist and principal for the Australian Ballet, the Royal Ballet, the National Ballet of Portugal and Sydney Dance Company. She has performed principal roles in Romeo and Juliet, The Nutcracker and Swan Lake, but she is now the head of training at Sydney Dance Company. Linda developed the Sydney Dance Company's pre-professional year full-time course, which focuses on contemporary dance incorporating mindfulness, self-care and resilience. Please welcome Linda Gamblin.
Hello.
Where are we, Linda?
We're in the park full of flowers.
Okay, cool. Boom. All right. So, Linda, what do you reckon?
It's all good.
It's all good?
I
Cool.
reckon it'll be fine. We've got nothing to worry about.
Are you afraid of dying?
Not anymore.
Cool. I might get you to extend on that answer later. And thirdly, have you ever shat yourself?
I reckon probably, after a tummy bug, surely.
Yeah, nice. Cool. All right. Those are the three big questions. Now, yeah, nah. Yeah, nah. Have you ever stolen something?
Yeah.
Can you speak another language?
Nah.
Can you play a musical instrument?
Yeah.
Yeah, what can you play?
The egg shaker.
Nice. Can you sing?
Badly, yes.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a big secret?
No.
Ballet or jazz?
Ballet.
Nice. Wiggles or high five?
Wiggles.
Nice. Big show or intimate informal showing?
Informal showing.
Nice. Ooh, left turn or left kick?
Left turn.
Yeah or nah?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where to start because you could talk forever. This is Linda, and she was the director of my full-time course. This is really exciting for me because on my podcast, we talk about full-time all the time. We never stop.
Great. Yes.
And a lot of it is critical talk about full-time.
Okay.
But my course, I loved my course. Everyone that comes into contact with Linda will remember her forever, whether that is as a hero or something else in their lives. But everyone knows Linda, and Linda's full-time course, it's not just a full-time course. It's like the spirit of Linda. So I can't wait to talk about your sort of philosophy. But maybe we can start with a bit of your life story.
So I grew up in Mackay.
So you grew up in Mackay.
Yeah, and when you asked me the question ballet or jazz, I love ballet, I love classical music, but I loved jazz first.
Yeah?
Jazz and tap.
Cool.
With
Wow.
Betty Meskel, and she was very musical theatre. So I did want to be a musical theatre dancer. I grew up in a household of beautiful people, but yeah, all families have their emotional stuff, and I feel that's kind of what kept me in dance, is just the love of it and the need to get away from any sort of pain I was feeling growing up as a kid.
Which is an interesting thing to escape to because there's a lot of pain in there.
I
as
know.
well.
I do talk about it in coaching young people. It's needing to find a fresh, healthy relationship with dance if you're going to do it as a career, because it's not usually why you're doing it when you're 3 or 4. You're not doing it to have a career at 3 or 4 or 6 or 7. Maybe the teachers are wanting you to have a career, being pushed to make it. And then you make it and you don't know who's pushed you to make it. It was yourself. Where does the willpower come from? Is it you, or is it your teachers, or it's pleasing your family, or is it...
Handy.
So my dad ended up in Brisbane, and then I had the opportunity to audition for the Australian Youth Ballet.
Did you go to Aussie Ballet?
No, I didn't really want to go. I didn't think I was good enough to go to the Aussie Ballet. And
So you went to Royal instead?
well, I was probably a little naive. I just went Europe because there's so many companies, and if I don't get into the Royal Ballet Company, at least I can go to Europe and dance. There's a lot of competition. A lot of my friends went to the Australian Ballet. I just thought they were so much better than me, and I just went, I'll send in my pics, and I've still got the pictures to audition for the Royal Ballet School.
Wow.
They weren't that good.
At 15.
At 15.
And then you moved.
Yeah, so I was 16 by the time I joined. Yeah, I was turned 16 in May.
The Royal Ballet School is the best. Alongside, I would say, like, what's the Bolshoi and, like, the Paris Opera Ballet. Just so you know, for the listeners out there, it's the one to get into.
Yeah. And I just, I don't know, I think they just, when you go there, they just love the Australian spirit. So I could turn, I could jump. Not that I don't think they would have seen that in the photos, and I didn't send any videos, but, you know, they were quite cute and I was pretty and I don't know. I just got in. I don't know how. You wouldn't. It doesn't happen these days. So I was very lucky. And when I got there, you had to audition to see which class you got into, and I was just so excited and spinning and jumping, and I got into the, you know, the yellow ribbon class, which was the class, the best.
Awesome.
And had a great time.
Wow. Lots of ambulances driving by today.
It's a 3-year course, and I went from the yellow ribbon class into the graduate class in the second year. And started working with the company.
So you jumped ahead and you skipped a year?
Yeah.
Wow.
And but at the end of that year, of course, I was working with the company as a student, quarter ballet, and even semi-soloist work, you know, when they needed a duo work and someone had to jump in there, I would jump in. But I didn't get into the company at the end, you know, when you just think automatically, I'll just get into the company. My girlfriends did and I didn't, and I went and had the interview and they gave me a scholarship to stay another year to work on my turnout.
Wow. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
And I was a little sad and I was walking out crying, and I ran into a very handsome, tall Portuguese director. He said, "Would you like to come and work for my company?"
Ooh,
and I went to Portugal.
Was that?
National Ballet of Portugal.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah. I wanted to audition London or English National Ballet, and I was doing principal roles in Portugal and thought I'd like to start at the bottom in the quarter ballet in a big company. So I auditioned for Munich and got in. But in that I sort of just did a little tour audition, and then I also flew to Australia to audition for the Australian Ballet.
And which one did you go with?
I went with the Australian Ballet.
Great.
Yes.
Amazing. And how long did you spend there?
7 years.
Whoa. Okay, I didn't know this about you.
Yeah.
A Melbourne pair is planning a pas de deux of perestroika proportions as they prepare to pirouette their way to success in an international competition in the Soviet Union.
So I went and joined the Australian Ballet and got a lot of great roles, but I remember by the end of leaving the Australian Ballet, I couldn't turn and jump. I had to really look at why I couldn't turn and jump after 7 years in the Australian Ballet.
Right. And why couldn't you turn and jump?
Well, I was born with 43.5-degree turnout. Jess knows this story, surely.
Yeah.
I talk about a happy fifth rather than a super fifth.
Yeah.
And that's because, you know, when you're born with something, you can feel really mentally disturbed by the fact you can't achieve something that someone else says you can achieve. If you're really seriously looking into your level of turnout, yes, you can improve the strength, you can probably improve the flexibility, but I really know through trial and error that if you turn out too much from the bottoms of your legs, your thighs are going to turn in. Heels are going to come off. Stress fractures are going to come. So I had 6 stress fractures.
They're the worst.
In one foot, couple in the other.
Oh my God.
Broke on stage.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I have only ever had one stress fracture, and I tried to perform that night in a point shoot, and I physically had to stop.
Well, I didn't have any pain.
Oh,
but that's
wow.
That was because of my mental health. I had no pain. So I was unable to recognize that.
I totally relate. I have I'm working on this with myself at the moment.
Yeah, and you can have both. You can feel too much pain and you can feel not enough pain, and both are a mental health issue. So I wasn't feeling the pain of my feet going to break. In the mornings I couldn't walk, but I'd know by the time I got to class it had warmed up and I'd be fine.
Amazing. Wow.
And didn't recognize that to be a bad thing until in the middle of the third act, Coppelia solo, it broke. And even then wasn't painful.
Yeah.
It was loud. I can remember hearing it, and the orchestra went really quickly to finish the menage of the solo. And as soon as I finished, I stumbled off stage and I couldn't walk for 9 months after that.
Wow.
Obviously, my bones weren't very good. I was not training properly. I was really trying, getting, when you're at that level and someone wants you to go a little bit further, they really get grooming, every little bit about you they want to help you fix.
Yeah.
And that's when the mindset of not being good enough, and then it's the controlled eating to be slimmer, so you look smaller. They want you to look childlike. It's not appropriate to have boobs and a bum. And I think we should all just accept as dancers we do control our eating. We know it's not, we don't have to, but in our mindsets back then, and that's why I always try and talk about it now, if you can just find your natural metabolism, honor it, feel it, feed yourself food, whether that's good food or food with good friends, it's still going to feed your soul. You need to find your niche in the dance market. If you do have boobs and a bum and the director doesn't want you to do la solfedes, then it's not right for you. Rather than starving yourself to get, or wearing 2 bras, or really trying to wear your plastics to get the fat off your bum. You're supposed to have a bum. We need a bum.
Yeah, we do.
How do we get rid of our bums without getting rid of everything else?
Yeah.
I just wanted to dance. I would just turn and jump until I started being told to turn out more and more and more. So in Portugal it was fine. And then all of a sudden when you just want to go a little bit higher, it just gets more intense and more intense. And then you start trying to be the person the teacher or the director wants you to be. And that's when you get into trouble. So it could have worked out differently if I didn't get so obsessed with pleasing the teacher or pleasing the director or pleasing myself to get further up the ranks.
Well, you proved that it's not necessary to have the turnout, right?
Well, I don't know. See, I think it's definitely not necessary. I was still performing on stage principal roles with my turnout that I have. I understand that the rotation of the leg and where it is when you're in 5th position and where you transfer your weight to get your weight between your 2 feet, because if you put it back onto the back foot, your front foot's going to really look turned in and immature. So it's maturing the whole spiral in the leg. Yeah, right. Okay, maturity. I'm just going to jump in on that because you talk about maturity a lot. And I think that would be one of the key elements of your course that I observe, seeing different full-time courses, is that the dancers are so mature. Yes.
And over the course of a year, you give them something. It's not really something you can explain, but it's something you can see the way they perform. They're really embodied and full artists. People,
Thanks, Yes, I get very, it's funny hearing about it from someone else. I just do what I do because I think it's authentic to the way I want to coach a person in all areas of life. Yeah, and your course is extremely holistic. Like the time I had there was not dancing. It was about a mental... It's a crisis for a lot of people. Yeah. Because it's the first time they encountered themselves. I think it's a cultural change, and I think changing a culture quickly in your head. So culture, not just bigger culture, your micro culture within yourself, changing your mindset. And I look at maturity. You can meet a very mature 3-year-old and you can meet a very immature 40-year-old. Helping a person find their agency, their personal agency, their autonomy, their authentic voice or their authentic movement, their authentic behaviour. So it's coming from a deliberate choice rather than a conditioned culture or mentality. And if we can just strip away some of the stuff that's not ours, because it's not that after a course such as the PPY, you end up being the same. You end up all completely different, but feeling the same.
Totally.
And then when you see you all
everyone
move
is
together,
more themselves.
more themselves, just being, and that's maturity. That's what because you're maturing into the 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Doesn't matter how old you are. The difference, I always say 17 to 24, because you don't want to just be with your group of people. You want to mature in a world-like experience.
Oh, you were in Sydney Dance Company as well, right? Is that what you did after?
Yes. After the Australian Ballet, I went to back to the Royal Ballet.
Oh, no way.
This is a bit more? Okay, this is a good story. Okay. So I left the Australian Ballet because in one class, the teacher at the time told me to turn out, like everyone does. But there was just this one day I heard, turn out, and left class. I think it was at the end of bar. And went straight to the director crying. Oh. And I resigned.
Wow.
I said, I want to leave. I didn't resign. I said, I want to leave. I want to join a contemporary company.
Yeah.
Thinking of going back to London. I'd like to audition for Rombe.
Uh-huh.
So I set up on my way to audition for Rombe. I did audition for Rombe. There was no jobs, of course. My best friend, Viviana Durante, I was hanging out with. She was a principal in the Royal Ballet, and said, Lind, we need someone to go to New York with us to do Lilac Ferry attendance.
Uh-huh.
And I went, oh, yeah, okay. So I did a class and auditioned for the Royal Ballet just to join as a senior corps. And then, and in that year and a half, it was more just to be in a different environment and workshop the shit out of me. Why did I leave the Australian Ballet?
Uh-huh.
Really, was it just because someone said that at the wrong time?
Yeah.
So that was a great experience. I loved it. I'd
Cool.
rock up, not warm up, just didn't do the things that I did in the Australian Ballet. Loved it.
Yeah, nice.
Really enjoyed.
That's cool.
So had a really great time, and then ended up leaving this Royal Ballet and studying method acting.
What?
Just for more therapy.
Wow.
That was
Okay. What are some of the characters you method acted?
The first character was I had to play an alcoholic.
Okay. And did you do it?
Yeah, I had to go to AA meetings and.
Oh my God! Did you do the drinking part?
No, I didn't. Well, no, I didn't get drunk, and I couldn't. I wasn't really into.
Wow.
I just wanted to understand alcoholism and went to a couple of very strange AA meetings in London.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was great. I loved the program and the course. Cool. Basically, you had to be authentic. The warm-up every day was choosing a subject and a scenario and sitting in the corner of the room being that scenario.
Wow.
So if you chose to put on stage makeup, you had to think of something. Every day you'd come and do something for 2 hours.
Oh my God.
Make a cup of coffee. Drink your tea for 2 hours. How am I picking this up?
Oh, wow.
How am I drinking it? And the teacher would just walk around to all of the people and just stare and look at you doing whatever you decided to do for that day.
Okay.
And stay in the
cool.
moment.
Did you have a favourite one?
I know, whatever it is, to do something that predictable because you know what you've chosen to do, and consciously, unconsciously, consciously, you'd end up, everyone would be crying at some point of their tea drinking or putting on the makeup. It's 2 long hours.
Wow. It's like a form of meditation, I guess.
Yeah. Karma.
Cool.
Yoga. So, I just did that for fun.
All right. Yeah. Wow.
And came back to Australia and realised I wanted to dance again. And that in that time I was working out my relationship to dance.
And then Sydney Dance Company.
Yeah, I realised that I missed it, but I just didn't want it as much as I've ever wanted dance before. So I started to really step back, cut my hair off, didn't want to wear point shoes. From there, I started teaching in the year that I had off before I went to dancing. And then that's when I started to go, if I'm going to teach dance, I'm better work out, especially ballet, work out what this turnout thing is. So I did a Pilates course. I've done short courses in anatomy and physiology, just any sort of body mechanics or somatic course. I would try and do it to understand whilst I was teaching. And then my course came when I wasn't making sense to a lot of the directors and the teachers, the directors that I was working for. They would want more. I would be asking a student not to force their turnout if they've had a knee injury, especially after the Pilates training. Or if I noticed a young dancer losing a lot of weight within a week, I'd say there's something up. Did you want to speak to that person? And they would say things like, no, they look fine.
Right.
And it disturbed me because of the culture that I'd come from. I really wanted to see a different way of teaching and training. And then I just got obsessed by it. I wanted more and more to understand why we have to celebrate skinny dancers, because we're all going to be, if we're fit and healthy and we can dance, we will get into we'll dance. If that's what we're supposed to do, we'll get into a company, or we'll keep dancing, and we'll work for smaller companies or the independent scene. And
the full-time course that you are the head of training for now, you kind of created it and pitched it, rather than like it wasn't a course that existed and you stepped into the role. Sydney Dance Company was just a company and a public class school, and you got yourself in there.
Yeah, I heard that Raphael has always wanted a full-time course, and that really excited me. I was already doing my own full-time course, Evolve Dance, and we only had 6 people, and we had a great time. And I mainly, it was a contemporary dance course because I was really getting into contemporary dance, especially how inclusive it is with your own thoughts and emotions and your psychological development when you workshop an idea or a collaboration. And through there, I was doing my course with my students. So we'd bring in Dean Welsh and Nellie Benjamin and Natalie Ayton, any of the independents out there working. I wanted to be an independent dancer when I grew up, didn't quite get there. I just started writing out what I was doing and why I was doing it, and going, well, I can't do it on my own. It was just too hard. I didn't know how to make money from it. I was just doing it as a pilot year anyway to see where it would go, and loved it. It was hugely successful in the growth of the individual. So I knew that. You could see that in the 6 dancers that I had. I did a business course.
Cool.
And then just a short one with the Body Shop. It was for mothers. You had to apply for it, and I got in and I did the business course, and they helped me write a business plan and wrote down my philosophy and vision. Wow. I remember taking my son to ATYP down at the wharf, and I'd nearly completed my business plan anyway. And it wasn't just for Sydney Dance Company. I really just wanted to, if I had to train pre-professional dancers, how would I do it? Why would I do it? And how can I could pay myself?
Those things, why would I do it and how would I do it, are really great questions if you're going to be the head of a full-time course, I think.
Guess so. And then I saw Anne Dunn, the executive director of Sydney Dance Company, at the cafe while I was waiting for Marlon, and I just went, my heart started racing. And I'm like, why is it racing? I'm just sitting here. She's over there. But it was because I knew I had to step up and walk over and say, hey, I'm Linda.
So then 2014 was the first year. Yeah. It's 2021 now, and your course has doubled in size. There's 2 cohorts, and now there's 3 directors, or I don't know what you want to call
they're
your
definitely
people.
Yeah.
But people that are the head of the course.
They are, yeah, absolutely. And it's, the vision and philosophy is definitely, so it did come from me, but it definitely was the perfect fit. It came from from Sydney Dance Company as well. So Anne and Raphael's ideas, it just seemed quite normal for it to happen. Yeah. And even now that you keep saying it's my course, it's definitely not my course. I can step away from it. Even now I feel, and it'll still be the same course as what we did in 2014 and 15. Yeah. It hasn't changed since then. So we've got Gabrielle Nenkerville and Omer Astrakhan in, head of training as well. I feel we're all head of training. We collaborate, we discuss. I've got Caroline Spence, which is the commercial officer as well. And as a team, we've got the same vision and we've got the same reason why we're doing it.
Cool. And what's the reason?
It's personal development and collaboration. And if you develop the person and you find that compassion and collaboration through contemporary dance, because we need it to create, we can all be mindful leaders in any area of our life. That collaboration with the person, the teacher, the artist, the director, your colleagues and yourself. So you have to keep finding the collaboration and the compassion with yourself.
Yeah, that was the thing I thought about the most while I was a student, was that it was the people that I was encountering all the time that were giving me the most reflection on myself and the mental crisis, you know, not the dance.
Yeah. And I think that was the biggest aspect of my vision and philosophy that Sydney Dance Company really celebrated as well, was not to have a director as the teacher choreographer, you know, the main teacher choreographer. And so you bring in the professionals. So they're all going to be different.
Yeah.
And even for you, you knew the ones that could assist you and help you. You saw the ones that worked you harder than this one. But you could also see the unmindful coaches or teachers that brought you down so you couldn't improve in your technical ability or creativity. Yeah. So you're able to then not feel mentally squashed because you go, oh, wow, that's not working for me. Thank goodness I've only got a week with that person. And then the next one comes along and you go, whoa, that's mind-blowing. That's amazing. And then the next one comes along, and throughout the year when you've got 35 to 45 different people telling them how they dance and how you're going to have to work out yourself. It's not for me to tell you what you need to do.
Yeah, I should explain how like the structure of the week is. Well, every morning you've got either yoga or Linda ballet.
2 technique classes in the morning.
It's very foundational. Like the yoga is a huge part of the course, I'd say, with Jolie Brooke. Jolie yoga, it's the hardest yoga you'll ever do. Amazing though. And then it'll be like a week or 2 weeks with one person from, well, overseas, within Australia, the freelance scene, someone from a company,
a dancer,
completely diverse.
Yeah. Young, old, mid-range.
A lot of like improvisation, task-based work, company, like preparation for what it's really going to be like in these rehearsal scenarios. And then on top of that, which is the most important part, is that every student has a very personal relationship with you, I would say. Unless,
I guess
maybe that's changing now because you have more people.
No, I think it's about knowing that you're a coach, and a coach is a coach. And, you know, we've got 3 coaches now, and it is about the individual. So, yes, people say it's personal, but I say it's professional. I'm paid.
Yeah, it's definitely professional.
I'm paid to coach you, in that way. And each person, you have to accept that to be inclusive, well, to include diversity in a group, you have to be inclusive, because you can't just have, you have to know what that one person is going through. And if they need to have a day off because they need to see, I just have a mental health day, or to understand their relationship with dance, they need to have the day off, and it's supported. And we have a psychologist. We're here to create the whole person who can then find a career.
The mental health aspect is actually a massive part of the course.
It should be.
I would say.
If you don't have the mental health, you don't have the physical health. So if you don't have the physical health, you don't have the mental health.
Yeah.
And so it goes hand in hand.
And all of your course directors have done mental health
training
course, and you've brought that in, right?
I just went looking for it. I think it was the second or third year. No, end of the second year there, and I was already speaking to, I guess I've done a lot of therapy, so I guess that's why. After knowing how much help I was getting from the talk therapy or any sort of other modalities, kinesiology I was getting, it was helping someone realizing that there's stuff out there to help the whole person.
Yeah.
Speak to your GP, find more information, go to health food stores. And so what I was looking for, and I never wanted to ever diagnose, because we've all got issues. So I went looking for a mental health first aid course because I had to do a physical first aid course. And there is such a thing, and it just came up, Mental Health First Aid Australia. Unfortunately, and it's still there, you have a lot of young people with serious mental health issues and disorders and dysfunctions and dis-ease.
I didn't even know there was anything going on with me, or any of my conditioning as a dancer had affected me mentally, until I was in that environment and had the chance to see it, and then realized that actually everyone needs that kind of help, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I mean, I feel we should treat our mental health just as much as our physical health all of the time. It's something we should talk about every day, and it's allowed to change. Some days I might feel mentally fitter than other days, and some days I might feel physically fitter.
Well, something that I observed, which I'd be curious how you feel about this now, is that as a coach, which I love about you, you are always available to everyone every second of the day. I think that's just how you are. And I know that includes your family as well as everyone in the course, which is now 60 people. And you really, as a student, have the feeling that anytime I need to, I can go up to the office, bawl my eyes out, and Linda will sit there and listen. But I think I've seen you at different points in your journey that there's way too many people relying on you. And was there a point where you, probably in my year, was the point where you had to change something about that?
Yeah, I think we all need to feed ourselves first, and that's what I wasn't doing back then in 2015. So in 2015, I got diagnosed with breast cancer, and I went on treatment and, came about it in a better way, and was grateful for the opportunity to learn and grow. And I think it was a very positive experience. With that cancer diagnosis, it was chronic stress. So even though you recognised it in me back then that I was always available, it was a big wake-up call to get back and do the things that I wanted to do for myself, and I was still doing them then. But I think it was a combination of a lot of stress and reasoning, and didn't stop. I kept going from different dance ideas to the other, and creating this and trying to find support for the greater community. And reason why I was wanting to give to people is because I wanted to give to myself. But it was going to happen, and it happened at the right time with your group.
Well, it happened with my year.
It
did. Maybe we can talk about it a tiny bit.
And I had a knowing. When you just have a knowing to go, okay, I'm ready to deal with something, I better go to the doctors. I never go to the doctors.
Right.
And but it was the next piece of growth, and it was a fast growth that I probably needed to do to be sustainable for what I was wanting to do with the course and what I wanted to do with my life and my family.
Yeah.
And so with the decision I took to do chemotherapy first before any lumpectomy, and that in itself was a reasoning that I wanted to understand why I had cancer. What was this learning lesson? I just had to find my intuition to make choices every little step of the way, even that first choice to do chemo before lumpectomy. And that,
because did you want to do that? I feel like you did.
In the end, yeah. I guess you don't know what you don't know when you get a diagnosis, and it feels like it's very rushed. In the time that you're diagnosed to the time to make a decision would be 4 or 5 days. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, right.
When I probably had this cancer for 3 years.
Right.
So I'm like, whoa, hang on a sec. Let me think about this. And
how did you take it? I remember us being told and you being like smiling like this, and everyone else was just crying.
Yeah.
I don't remember not seeing you really either.
No,
you were there every day. And looking radiant and healthy all
I
the
was
time.
much
which is
healthier
unbelievable.
because I knew exactly what I had to change. I had to really start meditating. I had to do all of the things I knew I was supposed to do. So
Right.
I had all the information in me. It
Wow.
was just that I probably wasn't doing it all.
And what were those things?
Well, I think when I got the phone call from the doctor, I just started away affirmations. So straight away was I'm grateful for this opportunity to learn and grow. I think I said that consistently for 2 weeks. And
I feel like I've heard you say that a lot.
Grasping the opportunity, taking that opportunity, whether it's good or bad. I think it's just as hard to grow from a good opportunity. I see quite a few people failing from a good opportunity. Get it?
Oh, I can totally relate to
and
that.
that's, that's hard. But then it's not me to say failing from a good opportunity. So if that good opportunity that I've judged as a good opportunity turns into a bad opportunity, you're still going to learn and grow from it anyway. So it doesn't really matter.
So the practical elements of your healing, like what did you do?
I went through chemotherapy, I used to think I'd never have chemotherapy. I'd rather die. That was an epiphany.
And why did you really not want to do chemo before that?
Because I like being healthy and, just eating good food and thinking good thoughts and meditating and having that amount of chemicals in there. There's so many other ways to heal than chemicals. But I couldn't trust my belief in not doing chemo. I had to just go with it until I decided that it wasn't right. Then I went on the path with an integrative oncologist and understanding diet and nutrition, understanding how stress creates, so your nervous system affects your metabolism, which affects your nutritional intake.
Yeah.
So even if you are, which I was, eating healthily, I was too stressed to even absorb.
This is what's happening to me at the moment.
And the immune system was down. So I didn't know you could measure the immune system, but when you're in chemotherapy, they have to measure it.
Wow.
And yes, I started very low in my immune system because if your immune system's too down while you have chemo, they have to stop your chemotherapy.
God, well, how do you even start your immune system if you're starting chemo at the same time?
I know my immune system went up during chemo.
Wow.
Because I was doing all of the other natural therapies as well.
What were those?
High dose vitamin C. So that was intravenous high dose vitamin C, vitamin D, a lot of herbal medicine, turmeric. So many, 40 different micro and macro vitamins.
Oils
daily.
And herbs.
Oils, herbs. And then there was kinesiology I was doing through that as well.
And then the diet, what do you cut out?
Well, I actually went on a clinical ketogenic diet.
Yeah.
So I had to do it for 55 days. And it was phenomenal for what I needed it for. So that was with my integrative oncologist. It's the belief in what you're eating too that counts. Yeah. If you believe it's feeding you on some level rather than not feeding you.
And it sounds woo-woo, but there's a whole science behind this in your nervous system, right? Like the life force that is healing you.
I mean, it's hard to, I never talk about it because I don't really care to, when you I don't need to debate it or I don't need to incorporate it in any of my coaching that I do but the understanding is that your belief creating your reality and the reality then doesn't matter. So even if your reality is causing death, say with cancer, maybe death is okay.
Were you afraid of dying when you
I
first?
Definitely was afraid of dying. I've had a lot of tragic death in my history. My family my family wasn't good at grieving. I was very fearful, but I didn't really tell myself I was fearful of it until I realised that was my time to work out if I wanted to die or not.
Right.
Death is a miracle.
Is it?
Yeah, birth is a miracle. So death is a miracle too. I mean, bloody hell. How do we get there? How do we get to the other side?
So how long did you treat your cancer and then you were was it a very clean story like that?
Yeah, it was pretty clean. By my last chemo, the next day after graduation.
Wow.
And I was really sick after that, and I was supposed to do another one, and I just didn't talk to anyone, and I had to really work out if I just wanted to work out if I still had cancer. Focus on that, not an outcome, just if I needed to do the last chemo. And could I do the last, because I felt, was the last chemo going to kill me, or not doing the last chemo?
Really? It made you that sick?
Yeah, I don't know. I just intuitively felt,
Wow.
yeah, depleted.
What kind of sickness, what does your body feel like during that? That's what I'm curious.
Because I was fit and healthy, and I was doing yoga, and my immune system was up. It was more the burning. I had, burns on my arms and my feet, and the weight loss. There's weight loss, and that's why they don't, absolutely don't encourage people to diet when they're going through chemo. Yes, I did, but I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm just saying that's intuitively what I did. I wouldn't tell people to do what I did because it's tricky. It's whatever your belief is, and it's whatever you think you need to be doing.
Well,
and
it's almost like you were healing something outside of the cancer.
Yeah.
While having this cancer situation.
I don't know what it is. You don't know. It's just what I did, and I was very happy I did it. And my biggest healing was the moment that I realised about not pleasing. So I had to, it was life or death situation in my head, this decision. And I knew I'd be damned if I do, and I'd be damned if I don't, without a clear vision. So I was waiting for a clear vision, and it happened on the day of my last chemo, and I rang up and said I wouldn't do it. I didn't tell my family.
Wow.
Because I didn't want the guilt of going,
yeah,
I might die.
Yeah, right.
I'm not doing the last chemo. And I got in trouble by the medical people. That was quite interesting.
Wow.
The way they treat you with a nice pretty scarf. Oh, wow, you look beautiful. How are you? And then you turn up when you haven't. Because I still wanted to do the other medication that was going to go on a little longer. I had an appointment with another doctor to say, I've said no to chemo. How do I tell my oncologist? And that doctor said, yes, well, that's going to be very difficult. They will make you try and do it. They'll say that you have to do it for legal reasons.
But you managed it.
I managed to do it. So I went there and listened and so it was turned up to my oncologist. Even the front desk person was just not nice to me.
Yeah.
Which usually they're overly nice, which I hated too.
Yeah.
Oh, you look lovely. That's a nice scarf. And then the oncologist came out and didn't look at me, and I came in and sat there and listened to the rant. So that was about 10 minutes. And I said, I understand that you have to say all that. And I know why, of course. I absolutely wouldn't want to sue you for anything. But I do know I can say no. And I said no.
Wow.
And that was the hardest, because when you've got a doctor in a coat, looking like God to someone that's going to die,
Yeah.
and you're saying no thanks, you have to be prepared to die.
Yeah.
So
wow.
That's okay. I'm saying this because I want to understand if I can say no and trust my no.
Wow. And then you trusted your no?
I trusted my no. And so I didn't talk to my family about it. I mean, they were just freaked out.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was a big thing. They probably still don't know, so hopefully they won't watch this. And then I had the operation.
Oh, right.
And they were very annoyed.
Yeah.
So what they do is they put a little clip in the tumour, so that if it moves around, they'll still be able to find it, especially if the chemotherapy shrinks the tumour. And there was no tumour left, and there was a very small, and they couldn't find it. And I just, by that stage, I don't know, going into the hospital, poor Kip my husband was so sad that day. I don't know why. He was a nightmare. It's like, it's not about you, it's about me. Let's calm down. And I was just happy. I was literally skipping down the hallway. I was feeling so good because I didn't do my last chemo. no cancer was found, no cancer cells, and on the report it said spontaneous remission.
Wow.
So I was pretty excited.
Wow.
But I take it seriously because it doesn't mean anything. So if I do get cancer again, it's not that I've failed. You know, I think it's really important to know. And during that time, I had other friends with cancer who did pass away. And yeah, that's quite confronting. But even during that, I would talk to them on the phone, or people go, oh, my friend's got cancer, speak to her, she's doing all this amazing stuff. And I'd get on the phone with them and say, death is healing as well. So don't think death is a failure. And then after I'd say that, we'd end up talking about the rest of the family, and I'd be saying, yes, well, it's not just your disease, it's the whole family and needing to cope with it.
It gets me thinking about that phrase everyone says, that you're fighting cancer, and you
hate that.
Can't, can you, right? You fighting it.
Won the battle. It's like I just think there's no battle, there's no fight. You need to go the journey and take the opportunity to learn and grow from it, and understand it. It's as common as sleeping and eating and waking and falling asleep, and cancer cells grow, cancer cells die. Having to think about why it happens, absolutely, for sure. I don't negate all the money that we put into cancer research. That's all fine, but celebrating life and death. So it's really interesting. So since then, any funeral that we have, I really love it.
Smiling.
No, it was really, we have I just had to, it was very sad when someone dies. My stepmom just died, and I didn't know what happened, but I started being the production manager for her funeral, and it was so lovely, and you just can make some people feel easy to go, yes, we can be like, when we get together to celebrate this life, this is our opportunity to celebrate. We can go home and cry, but to celebrate a life is a really special thing to do. And I know prior to my cancer, I didn't celebrate at funerals, or I was fearful to go. It's a bit too serious here.
Cool. Nah, I love that. No one's really talked about funerals on Dance Bants.
So well, it's life, you know.
Do you have any little favourite treatments and favourite foods and medicines that you take, or you would encourage other people to take?
Look, I don't encourage other people to take, because I really believe as a first aider, you're there to tell them there's other information out there and find what's right for you, because especially if it's any natural herbs or therapy, you don't have the controlled scientific evidence. So if you don't have the controlled, that's why pharmaceuticals are so great, and they give you an 85% chance of survival, because they've spent millions and millions of dollars on testing that drug or that therapy or that electrodes or that operation. It's hard to recommend herbal or natural therapies, and so I don't.
So you don't?
No.
Okay, wow.
I'll say, go and find out your information, trust your intuition.
This people-pleasing thing was a big peak of the story, but you haven't talked about that yet. I would say, in my observation, since I was around you a lot, I feel like I can see how you changed since then.
Well, it's funny. You can please people. And we, as performers, we do, as people we do, as women we do, because we're in that motherly, nurturing mode. So it might be a consequence that we please people, but it's understanding, say, feed myself first, mentally, physically, spiritually. So if you're pleasing people when you aren't pleasing yourself, then your anxiety, you just get a little bit confused, and that's probably my heightened state. You don't want it to be your way of life, is that and it's not that you're doing it purposefully, you're just realizing that subconsciously you can please and you want to please without pleasing yourself. I know that's very confusing. A little bit like codependency. You might be codependent on money or job or career or pleasing the teacher. So if the teacher wants you to get your leg high, you'll just get your leg high. You don't care what the rest of your body looks like, or you don't care that it's hurting, or forcing your turnout. If you want to just please a teacher, So it starts at that level, and then it goes to, I'm really good at pleasing.
Yeah.
And then you want to please because that makes you feel good. It's a bit of a drug in the end.
Uh-huh.
Best to just acknowledge it and realize if you're being authentic to yourself.
Oh, there's one other thing. You said you wanted to talk about the show will go on, not the show must go on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I often say that. I've said it for a long time, and then COVID hit, and I'm like, see? The show must go on mentality is not just in dance. It's in marketing, it's in lawyers, it's in construction. And through contemporary dance and understanding about collaboration and compassion, I feel the show goes on more naturally if you allow the show to go on rather than trying to make it go on.
Uh-huh.
And then we do realise that the show will go on or not, with or without you.
Yeah.
So if we can get that into our heads that, yes, the show will go on, maybe it's 6 months late because of COVID, or it'll go on without you because you're injured or you're sick, or you've got a tummy bug, so the rest of the company got the tummy bug, so the whole show has to be cancelled. I mean, these things, it might go on, it might not go on, but if, with that mentality of the show must go on, that's going to cause a lot of stress and probably deplete the creativity.
Wow, I like that a lot. Okay, well, I have nothing else to say about that. You said it all. I guess that's a lot. Anything you feel like we haven't discussed that you want to say?
Oh, look, no, just, I love dance as a way to understand my life and my universe. And I guess movement is all around us, and any dancers out there, keep dancing and keep understanding why you dance and get everyone else to dance, because it's so much fun, whether it's in the kitchen or in the park or any sort of dancing.
Why do you dance?
I just think it's joyous and healing. Yeah, and I love understanding we're living in this body, and we've got images of it that we don't have a really strong image of it, do we? In arabesque, sometimes we think we're just like a cardboard and we just want to bend this bit, and that bit just doesn't bend. So you're having to actually visualize these positions or groove or feeling to what you think it might look like, and then that's kind of really crazy.
I had never thought about dance this way, and I talk about it all the time when I teach now, is that we're thinking about energy, not form.
Yep.
And your classes, you're always talking about authenticity and being natural and real.
Yeah, this internal locus of control, I call it. So it's a psychological term about how you view your life. And if you have an external locus of control all of the time, you're going to be quite angry at the world.
Yeah, that's like the reactionary.
Yeah, the world's
seeing things.
Yeah, you're going to be a victim. You're going to say it's the world's fault. It's this fault. So if you start to have an internal locus of control, you feel like you control the type of day that you're going to have, and that's especially in a dance studio. And it started when I was in full-time training, when I was told to lose weight off my bottom to make my turnout look better. I just went crazy. I went, yeah, sure, I can just eat this, and this in a day. And I did it. There, I lost weight. Did it make my turnout look better? And I just didn't want that feeling anymore. I wanted to know, well, how does my turnout feel? How does my body feel? So I'd close my eyes in a ballet class and really try and ask myself, who am I? How am I feeling? And not look in the mirror. Because I used to look in the mirror and always, especially after being told you needed to lose weight, you would just see problems. And so I think it's really important to, especially in dance, to have an internal position of understanding and control.
Yeah, no mirrors in your class too. That's another
I really like no mirrors. Yes, they pull them back, and sometimes they think they need it, and I give up arguing. But there's a lot of choreographers. I'm really excited when I hear people like Ohad Narin and William Forsyth say that they don't have mirrors.
Yeah, wow, Forsyth not using mirrors is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I like hearing that. I'm like, see. Oh, look, if you want to get your leg behind you, you have to just have the equal and opposite force on the underneath leg in front of you and visualize that leg going to Devon even though it's onto the floor, and your leg's just going to be behind you.
Yeah.
You can't just say move your leg behind you as a teacher or a coach, because that will just make you twist to get the leg behind you.
I love it. Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Linda.
Jen.